Okay, now, if you're like me, you probably were thinking when you saw this background image, where the heck are we? Because that's what I was thinking when I first saw this. And then I went and checked the warrior record and was told apparently that we're in full bloom, and I was feeling at this moment that we weren't very full bloomy. I don't know if that was just me, but I'm like, well guys, it's the end. I mean, it's not the end. We're into chapter 4 now. It's the final chapter. If you're gonna make a move, make a move. Alright, so let's find out where the hecky hey we are. Nearly a week had passed since Nagakura secluded himself following his humiliating interaction with the demon Amagiri. He emerged from the forest, stumbling upon a decrepit hut at the base of a mountain range, and became a hermit in a cold, isolated slice of land. More often than not, he found refuge in his lonesome bedroom, shutting his heart away from the world. So he just, like, pieced out of the core and came here. And I'm like, wow, we have a completely new background, which is kind of cool. And I'm still wondering, I haven't actually looked. I should have looked it up before I did this. But I forgot until now. But I was wondering if the real life Shinpachi disappeared from the core one day and became like a hermit in a cabin. And if so, why? And maybe it was because of all the crushing defeats that were going on. Maybe, because in this it's because he's got like a lot of guilt going on about being a fury and things. So yeah, if anyone knows, you can still leave that down below, because I still haven't looked it up and I probably will forget yet again to look it up. Anyway, he became devoid of confidence, hoping that he could ignore the deafening sound of his internal guilt. By normal standards, it was nothing more than a prison sentence. To Nagakura, however, it was a chance to numb himself until he eventually turned to dust. Oh, right. Don't wait for the dust, man. Each day, I traversed through the forest to procure supplies, like food and utensils from a nearby village. Chizuru, the real MVP. It was the only way I could keep Nagakura alive. Nagakura, I've made you some dinner. Nagakura refused to answer, but I could hear his stomach grumble from the other room.
Guess I can't beat hunger either.
He was in a cycle of self-deprecation, both triggered and exacerbated by his hunger. Your choice not to return to the core is one thing, but the least you could do is feed yourself.
Yeah, alright.
Nagakura carefully grabbed the sides, my goodness, of the hot, steaming bowl of porridge I had set on the table. He reluctantly put the bowl to his lips and sipped. His eyes widened, struck with a sudden realization.
Say, where'd you get the stuff to make this?
You handed me a pouch of coins and asked me to take care of it, remember?
Oh. Right, huh? Well, I got no use for the material world anymore, so I couldn't give a damn about money.
Seeming pleased with himself, he resumed eating. What did he expect us to do when the money ran out? Was he assuming we would simply live off the land? I wondered if Nagakura was experienced in living a humble, sedentary lifestyle. If that were the case, if somehow he could adapt to these adverse conditions, we would be okay. The biggest dilemma, to me, was deciding how long it would take for Nagakura to get over his slump. Even if he was to piece together the bits of his broken heart, how would we find our friends, our allies? As I succumbed to a bevy of anxious thoughts, Nagakura slurped the last bit of his porridge, licking his lips with satisfaction. I stared at him with a furrowed brow, and our eyes suddenly met, albeit rather awkwardly.
Hey, why aren't you saying anything?
There was reason for him to point out my silence, but I felt it better not to make any needless comments. Well, if I were in a similar position to yours, I don't think I would want anyone to nag me either. More importantly, I wanted him to know. And I had a big dilemma about this choice. I actually even saved before I made it. I don't have to do that now because I know I ended up picking the right one. Because I believe in you seemed like a good choice, but the main theme of this part of Shin's route has been she keeps saying to him, you saved me, and now I'm going to save you. So I thought that was a key thing that we needed to focus on, so I ended up trying You Saved Me, and it was the actual right thing. Keeping with the theme. You saved me, Nagakura. So this time I am taking it upon myself to save you. Please, pay me no mind. You deserve some time to yourself, to let your heart ease its way back into things. It was an honest, confident admission. It was my belief that Nagakura would emerge from this crisis as a stronger person, his past be damned. Offering him anything other than support in such a fragile period for him could only worsen his mood. Beyond whatever I could say to him, though, it was up to Nagakura to determine his resolve, how he would choose to move on from his own mistakes.
Sorry.
Nagakura blushed as his words trailed off. Thankfully, it seemed as though he got the gist of what I was getting at. It was the most encouragement I had seen in days. And then this, I was so excited about this. I still love this. This is so great. My girl Chizuru. The next morning, I had the idea of setting up a training regiment for my swordsmanship. Any time that I was given the opportunity to engage in combat or restrain Nagakura, I was often too weak, especially in situations that involved Furies. Hopefully, with due diligence, I would hone my technique enough to become a capable fighter. No, I just wanted to become stronger. Yeah! I unsheathed my Kodachi in the middle of an open meadow, letting the wind brush against my cheeks. Recalling the memory of what I had learned in my dojo, I started going through the motions of my practice forms and put my all into every swing. My legs swatted against tall patches of grass as I wove nimbly through my forms. The air cracked with each vigorous slash of my Kodachi, making my back muscles sore. And she did it for a long time. As beads of sweat began forming atop my forehead from each exertion, a voice came from behind me.
Nice swings, kid.
I peeked over my shoulder, realizing Nagakura had crept from out of the hut to watch me train.
But why are you doing this, Chizuru?
So that, when the time comes, I can protect you. My master's greatest lesson was that swordsmanship is best used to hone myself into an instrument of protection, rather than an object of death.
Instrument of protection, huh? Thing is, no matter how hard you train, you're no match for a Fury or demon. Especially not the Fury festering inside of me.
Nagakura scoffed at me derisively.
I threw away my entire life to seclude myself here, just so that I couldn't harm anyone else. Now I might as well throw my sword away too.
It was a pathetic attempt at humor. But for Nagakura, his first instinct was offering a lighthearted quip to deflect the nagging pain. But, as a fellow student of swordsmanship, no, as a swordsman, hearing someone whom I had respected willingly dismiss our craft was unbearable. So, we're gonna confront him about it. Nagakura, why did you commit your entire life previously to swordsmanship? What were you training for? Was there anything in particular that you hoped to achieve? Pick your sword back up. Have some faith in the cause for which you've dedicated your whole life, and believe in what your sword is capable of. Back in Kyoto, I always believed that you wielded your sword because you wanted to protect others. I said all of this in one drawn breath. With flushed cheeks, Nagakura seemed on the cusp of responding, but I gave him no such chance. I know the true Nagakura, the one whose heart broke for Heisuke's sake. The one who's still reeling with guilt over the loss of his dear friend, Kondo. I know how benevolent and gentle your soul is, and that's something that you becoming a Fury won't change. You mustn't succumb to your affliction. All this time, I've believed in you. So, for me, please, don't turn your back on your duty. And I was like, what? What? Ah, so cute. As I felt my throat strain from my passionate plea, Nagakura brusquely pulled me into his arms. Suddenly, I was smothered by his loving embrace. He placed his tender lips against my ear.
You think my sword can really save people's lives? Do you really believe in me?
Yes. So cute. No sooner had my answer escaped my lips when I felt his squeeze tighten. I love that. She looks so happy there.
I never knew how good it'd feel to know someone supports me as much as you do. I never trained to become the strongest samurai in town. All I'd wanted to do was to keep my friends safe, to fight under the banner of something meaningful. That's why I became a swordsman. In that case, how the hell am I gonna let the Fury stop me from wielding my sword, huh? I get it now. All of it. With this sword in my hand, I'll be unstoppable. I won't let myself fall into darkness, and the only way of Fury stopping me is over my cold, dead body. Never again will I rely on my Fury powers, but most importantly, I'll keep you safe, Chizuru. That's why I'm still here, living and breathing. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for me. But thanks most of all for helping me realize it.
Please. I've always believed in you, Nagakura. That's all. A breeze whistled through the blades of grass at our feet, and we separated from one another. I looked deeply into Nagakura's eyes, and he flashed the brightest smile I had seen in ages.
Mind if I train out here with you?
Yes, please, feel free to join me. In fact, I would love it if you showed me a thing or two. I mean to say, your style.
Sure, but I'm letting you know up front that the Shinto Munen style isn't for wimps.
Now that I do remember also having an encyclopedia entry. Shindo? There we go. One of Edo's most prestigious sword styles used by the likes of Shinpachi Nagakura, Kamo Serizawa, and Kashitaro Ito. Okay. My heart fluttered with joy. At last, Nagakura had regained his sense of self. He confronted his fears maturely, never losing sight of what made him so special to me and his allies. Nagakura inspired me by learning from his flaws and choosing to accept rather than shun them. He was becoming the warrior he was born to be. Now it was up to me to do the same. After giving himself a little more time to process the last hour or so, Nagakura spoke about his desire to rejoin the Sekio Corps in their fight. As soon as he decided to leave, Nagakura hastily stuffed his things back into his bag and scanned the hut for any remaining belongings.
Since we left unannounced, they haven't gotten any correspondence, so we gotta do something soon.
Well, we sorta left them without asking for permission. Are we going to be in trouble? Considering that entire days had passed since our rather churlish departure, our original goal of reaching Yonezawa in a timely manner had become long expired. Under the wrong pretenses, our actions could have been deemed treason by desertion in a time of war, which was a charge with life-threatening consequences. Because Nagakura served as the group's vice commander, it could have been even worse.
I mean, let's be frank here. I think we could be walking into a hairy situation when we return.
If only we had some kind of excuse for having left them without asking for permission. I searched internally for any reasonable explanation, but Nagakura didn't seem fussed with details.
Well, they told us to head for Yonezawa, right? Why don't we go on and slink into where the rest of the troops in Yonezawa are supposed to be?
Although I was hesitant to doubt Nagakura, there was too much at stake for us to risk our lives. Certainly Nagakura would be able to talk his way out of trouble, but we would have no idea until we actually arrived. Nagakura shut the hut's door behind him, and the two of us began marching in the direction of Yonezawa. The forest was thick, humid, and teeming with enough flora and fauna to provide appropriate cover for us to hide from the Imperial Army. It took days of traversing through untamed paths for us to arrive near our destination of the Yonezawa domain. Help me! A startling cry from a voice somewhere deep in the forest elicited a flinch from me.
Hey, are you a Yonezawa soldier? What happened?
Our troop was ambushed by a group of horrible monsters. No matter what we threw at them, they just kept coming. Help, please! Everyone's dying!
Nagakura and I exchanged terrified looks.
Must be Furies, huh?
I fear so. We must hurry! My words were enough to urge Nagakura, who frantically sped through the forest. Casually drops Furies in front of this random soldier. With the guidance of the Yonezawa soldier, we reached camp with no one to greet us. Bits of ripped tent and amenities were strewn across the grass. Nagakura and I immediately went to inspect the bodies splayed around the encampment.
Hey, you alright?
I realized no one was breathing. Their skin was pale as snow, colored only by the bloodstains upon their lifeless corpses. Dozens of men were viciously murdered by Furies. A scattering of flayed limbs soaked blood into the forest floor, making me feel sick to my stomach.
Damn it! We were too late.
This is tragic. Was this Father's doing? Father was producing an army so massive that only through constant killing sprees could its collective bloodlust be satiated. As long as there were Furies, no. As long as Father created Furies, this depravity would continue to ravage innocent people. Keeping his malevolent devices unchecked was a risk to the lives of every man, woman, and child in our country. Look who it is! As we reluctantly ventured deeper into the camp, we saw a familiar figure standing beside a dead campfire. He stepped his foot on a dying ember, staying silent as if in reverie for the lost souls hovering above camp. After a moment, he addressed Nagakura.
Wiped all the dust from your sword, have you? Of course. Tomorrow, I will strip the flesh from every Fury that heads to Yonezawa Castle. Care to join me? No. Let me handle this. It's my responsibility to destroy the Furies, all of them.
Amagiri curled his lips into a grin, seemingly taken aback by Nagakura's forwardness. Blech.
So, the Fury wants to fight Furies, eh? Huh. Someone wise once asked me the same thing.
I knew what Nagakura was mentioning immediately. He and Kondo had a similar conversation in Kofu. The difference now is that Nagakura experienced a lifetime of personal growth since that fateful day.
Yeah. I guess it looks like a self-hating thing on the outside. But I helped bring those bastards into this world, so now I've got to take them out. The burden falls on my shoulders, and I intend on seeing it through.
He expressed conviction through unwavering confidence, and I beamed proudly behind him.
Understood. In that case, I shall refrain when you take the lead. Good luck. You'll need it. Be warned, however. The minute I catch you using your Fury powers will be your last.
Nagakura playfully dismissed Amagiri's suggestion, which was a comforting sign.
Keep wishing, man. It won't happen, but do as you see fit.
The exhaustion of constant travel was beginning to wear us thin, so we humbly asked the soldier to escort us to a room we could use as lodging. We had limited time to rest, however, and by the next morning had already departed for Yonezawa Castle. Remnants of overcast clouds were washed over with faint blue hues above us, and the time had finally come for us to confront Father and purge the country of Furies. Although he revealed to me that our relationship was not tethered by blood, as I had always believed, my heart was fraught with turmoil upon considering the possibility of subduing him, whatever the cost. His crimes against our people and our friends, lest I forget, were unforgivable. I never anticipated what the Furies would become, that Father would let it accelerate to this point. He selfishly sacrificed so many innocent people.
Huh. When you put it like that. Makes it sort of seem like the Shinsengumi was doing the same thing in Kyoto with our Furies, doesn't it? I know I'm the last person to talk, but goddamn if it doesn't make me seethe thinking about the Furies. That kind of power doesn't belong in this world. I will see to it that every Fury is destroyed. And Ugh!
While in the middle of speaking, Nagakura gulped as his eyes began to bulge in their sockets painfully. What timing? Talking about Furies? In an instant, his body began convulsing violently, followed by a change in color in his hair and eyes.
What the hell? Talk about timing, huh? My own body. Can't escape this goddamn Fury curse, huh?
Nagakura stuttered through shallow breaths, clawing at his throat with haggard fingers.
Sorry, Chizuru. Give me a minute, would ya?
But Nagakura! He shook his hand outwards, halting my approach.
I don't want you to see how pathetic I am anymore.
What should I do? It's fine. You have nothing to hide from me. I want to see everything. Your flaws, your weaknesses, everything. Promptly turns back. Once more, I slid my short sword from out of its sheath and placed it against my collarbone as I broke the skin with a small incision. If you refuse to drink my blood, then you'll be in no condition to fight my father or the Furies. So please, show me everything. Nagakura slithered towards me nervously, tickling my ear with eager, staggered breaths. Show me your true self, Nagakura. If my blood is what gives you life, then I want you to sip me until the last drop. Still not a good idea. Think of the consequences of that. He lapsed momentarily in hesitation, but soon I felt the moist touch of his tongue flicking against my cut. Oh yeah, I forgot this line. Let the anger flow through you, and together we shall rule the galaxy. Chizuru gets too into this sometimes. Yes, let my blood flow through you, and together we will become one.
Thank you. Give yourself to me.
I will. Only the taste of my blood could silence Nagakura and dull the pain terrorizing his entire body. And it was after that that I had, like, a bit of a tirade. Because I'm like, really? We had the whole give yourself to me, and I will, and we still don't have, like, a confession, man? We're coming to the end. Make a move! So anyway, that was the summary of my tirade. Moving on. After his bloodlust seemed to calm, we resumed our arduous trek to Yonezawa, which unfortunately had been delayed until the middle of the night. We moved diligently through the forest, navigating through wayward pine-filled branches until we could make out the castle town glowing in the distance. The undertaking involved in our task was becoming more concrete, and I could tell it unsettled Nagakura. He took a deep breath before speaking with a clear sense of discomfort in his voice.
Sorry, Chizuru. The people responsible for creating the Furies, the ones who brought them into our world. Their crimes cannot go unpunished, and things might get pretty messy down there.
If you're talking about Father, I'm ready for anything.
Really? Is it that easy for you?
It warmed my heart to hear Nagakura's words of concern for my well-being. I'm not sure. I know he made mention of the fact that supposedly I'm not his real daughter, but my only lasting impression of him is as a kind, loving father, so... I finished my thought by saying... I think I might have saved here too. I can't remember. But my thought process for picking the top option was not necessarily that she is going to take the lead in fighting her father, but I took the bottom one to mean more like she's not convinced enough, and so she needs Shin to do it. But by saying the top one, she's like convinced herself. She's got the resolve to do whatever it takes to take her father down. I thought that was better for her, and it ended up being the case. So here we go. It felt strange being so resolute in my convictions. If it turns out that Father truly is the one to blame for all of these murders, then I'll defeat him myself. It was my father who created the Furies and set all of this chaos into motion. So as his daughter, it is my task alone to undo the calamity he has invoked on our people. Nice.
Actually, you don't have to do it alone. Putting yourself at risk just because you're related is too dangerous. When the time comes, you have my sword too.
And I was waiting for Amagiri to just pop out from behind a tree. And my fists! Nagakura.
Well, let me put it this way. I'm just gonna grab him like this and punch him right in the kisser. I'll make his head spin so quickly that he'll regret ever having thought of Furies in the first place. Man, what a riot. You know, I've always wanted to give your father a good beating.
I'm like, thanks? Nagakura's cheerful levity brought a welcome smile to my face. Confronting my father was a growing inevitability, but hearing Nagakura make light of our circumstances so coolly was a charming gesture. For all of these years, my entire life really, I had regarded him as my flesh and blood, but he wasn't. Guess there really isn't anyone in the world that I could call family. I'm all alone out here after all. My eyes dropped to the floor to suppress myself from crying, and Nagakura wrapped me in his arms. Prepare yourselves, everybody. The scene is amazing. I let myself melt into his bosom, caressing it gently as his warmth soaked pleasantly into my cheek.
You know, even though he's not your actual dad, he was still something of a father figure to you. You're stronger than you think, having to deal with all of this. You don't have to pretend like it's easy. But don't forget, you've always got my hand to hold, and my shoulder to lean on.
I mean, this isn't leading up to a kiss. Wink. I was losing my mind, though, because I was like, wait, this is so quick! It took so long, and now it's going so quick! Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to see this again, though. Since our first acquaintance, Nagakura had made a point of showing how deeply he cared for me. Our hearts were inexplicably drawn together from the start. And I was glad that she brought this up. Say, didn't you used to say that I was like your little sister or something like that, Nagakura?
What? No, it's not like that. We're, more intimate than that. You see, Chizuru, I would like to have a, closer relationship with you, so to speak.
Huh?
Well, see, since the two of us are so close and all, I was hoping maybe a girl like you.
Then, as if hoping to convince me with the strength of his grip, Nagakura tightened his arms around me. My muscles are no use when I'm trying to confess.
So, I, would maybe like to be spouses. Is that what you call them? I'd like to propose to you right now, but would that be moving too quickly for you?
I was like, what? We moved right from boyfriend girlfriend into like, let's get married tomorrow? Wait a minute. I'm like 2 seconds out of the sister zone and we're spouses? But Chizuru said, yes, I would be honored to accept. I lifted my jaw upwards, coaxed by his entrancing stare. Yes! Ah, so good to see! Then our lips were pressed softly together, and I can imagine and hope that it's not a teeth-on-teeth kiss. Never had I been swept by such a romantic thrall, but here we basked in our love under the twilight. This was no mirage, no lonesome daydream. This was a kiss of intent, one that signified our eternal devotion to our love and each other. I felt safe in Nagakora's quivering mouth, cradled by his tender embrace as he pressed his hands against the small of my back. Nagakora and I, at long last, were uninhibited, free to let our hearts entwine in a moment of genuine bliss. Each moment I sunk deeper into his loving arms. With them, the embers of our affection kept me warm until morning.